İşte bu yüzden Head and Shoulders şampuanlarını seviyoruz. Güzel ve ipeksiz saçlarımızın sırrı bu. Saç tipiniz nasıl olursa olsun tam da içinizden geldiği gibi. İpeksi yumuşaklık tam bana göre. Kendinize en uygun Head and Shoulders'ı.
Dünyanın bir numaralı kepek şampuanı Head and Shoulders 2014 FIBA Kadınlar Dünya Şampiyonası resmi sponsoru. Kazanmak kafada başlar.
Şampiyonası'nda yaşanıyor. Güzeller güzeli Bota'nın derileri garantiyle el ele dünyaya meydan okuyor. Haydi Türkiye, desteğe.
For all the most updated information on the 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women, visit FIBA.com. 2014 FIBA Kadınlar Dünya Şampiyonası ile ilgili en güncel bilgiler için FIBA.com sitesini ziyaret edebilirsiniz. The 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women is now referred on Facebook and Twitter. Go to facebook.com/FIBA World or follow Twitter @FIBA World and keep up with what's happening throughout the championship.
Hello everybody, welcome back to Istanbul, Turkey. It's the 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women. It's the battle for Group C supremacy between Australia and Belarus. Well, Belarus have left it late, but they've beaten Korea and more recently Cuba to get to this stage. Australia, meanwhile, have been very impressive in racking up a couple of wins. These two teams about to square off for first place in Group C. Serbia winning a real thriller right before this one, 65-63 over China. Later to come will be Korea, Cuba, and then USA and Angola. Of course, USA have already wrapped up first place in Group D. Here you see in Group C the current standings. Both of these teams up at the top. So the game between Cuba and Korea will decide which other team gets into the qualifications for the quarterfinals round. Well, welcome to the 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women here, the Abdi Apechi in Istanbul. It's Belarus and Australia getting to battle it out for first place in Group C. I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Lloyd Gardner, the always thoughtful Lloyd Gardner. And Lloyd, what about this Belarus team? Is their luck going to run out?
No, I don't think so. I think this is a team which has done what they need to really to get this far in the competition. They're a very solid team. You almost know exactly what you're going to get. They've scored 70 points in both of their two previous ones. And, you know, they've relied on a late shot to seal the game. We know You know, the key player is that person that's just walked through the screen. Lushenko is going to do a bit of everything for them. But this is a Belarusian team which doesn't really come with a lot of surprises, but it's still a very difficult team to beat.
You know, without Anastasia Vereminka, some people felt like Coach Grigas was missing his biggest weapon, but you have to appreciate that with Belarus, one of the top teams in women's basketball the past several years in Europe, they've got a lot of veterans, and those veterans have been coming to the fore, which they've seen. And now for Australia, the number 2 team in the FIBA ranking women, the world champions back in 2006, they too are missing a key player, Liz Cambage, and as well as Lauren Jackson. But hey, they've also proved to be quite a team here at the World Championship.
That's absolutely right, Jeff. And that inside question may be the one. They don't have Cambage, they don't have Lauren Jackson, so who is going to guard Lushenko? How are they going to deal without their key players on the inside missing?
Well, Brendan Joyce has come up with the answer so far. He's going to have his biggest test so far today against Belarus. Now we're going to have the playing of the national anthems. First Belarus and then Australia. So now the national anthem of Australia. You can feel that little bit of extra energy in the house today with the stakes so very high. The winner of this game will move on to the quarterfinals. The loser will have to go into the qualifications for the quarterfinals. The teams meet at midcourt here before the game. There's smiles now, but it's going to be a real battle. Well, the 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women game between Australia and Belarus. The referees from Canada, Uruguay, and Tunisia. When you play at FIBA World Championships for women, like here in the Abdia Pecha, you have some controversy, you have some adversity that you face, and the adversity that Belarus have faced came immediate with the loss of their point guard, Tarasova, to a torn ACL in the first game.
Well, absolutely. She's a big loss. She would be in that starting 5 we look at there. She's been replaced by Drods, who's had a good tournament. Last game she only made 1 shot, but what an important one it was, a 3-pointer from essentially her own half to help in the Belarusian starting lineup. Of course, Sitsina and Lushenko are the 2 keys.
From Canada, Australian baskets.
But for Australia, I think Brendan Joyce has tried to get as many minutes as he can for all of his players because he knows they're all going to be called upon throughout the tournament. And the most important is Penny Taylor. There's no question about it.
You're absolutely right. Again, Jeff, only 2 players from Australia played double-figure minutes. Laura Hodges being one of those, the number 11. Erin Phillips being the other in the last game. But, of course, Mariana Tolo, Rachel Jarry are important pieces of this Australian team surrounding Penny Taylor, who is the superstar.
Well, you see Laura Hodges has been in this national team setup, and you see her numbers. Snitsina, on the other hand, has just been almost spectacular at times, and also kind of unpredictable. With her, you've got to expect the unexpected. She's hit 2 key three-pointers at the end of the first 2 games.
Yeah, I mean, Hodges has been very good. She's kind of picked up the slack. We talked about left without Gambage in the team, but it'll be interesting to see, is Hodges going to be the one defensively that guards Luchenko today? Probably Tolo in the early stages. On the other side, like we said about Belarus, you almost know what you're going to get with them. It's going to be Luchenko on the inside. It's going to be Snitsina doing a little bit of everything else. They are, double-figure scorers in both these games, and really they are the lifeblood of the Belarusian team.
See Gabe Richards, there is some type of issue with the Belarus squad where she's wearing some type of knee pad or something that's not allowed. But anyway, try to find out what's going on with that. Brendan Joyce is running through the last-minute instructions.
And into the on ball, okay?
What we know from Australia is they come very prepared. Both teams we've seen them play, Cuba and Korea, they have been extremely prepared, and the scout has been on point in the way it's been executed defensively from Australia. So expect to see them prepared for Belarus. Expect to see some game plan to stop the threat of Luchenko on the inside. And they're going the other way for Belarus. I can't wait to see who they're going to put on Penny Taylor. Really, it's going to have to be Liktorovich. How is she going to deal with Penny Taylor? Really, it's probably going to have to be multiple defenders from Belarus guarding Penny Taylor, trying to slow her down.
Belarus fans, including those that we saw dancing last week, just got to look at them. We'll probably see that at some point today. And the Australians, who have gotten a lot of minutes. Drozd, without question, and Zhuiskova have become hugely important players for Belarus. Without question, the leader of the team is Luchenko. Snitsina has kind of been the big play player for Belarus. So whatever the problem was with Luchenko when she was being spoken to by the referee, they seem to have resolved it, and they both also wished each other luck here before the game. So thankfully, that's not going to be a distraction. Well, hello everybody. You're looking live inside the Abdiapechi in Istanbul. It's the 2014 FIBA World Championship for Women, Group C battle for first place between Belarus and Australia, and it's underway, and Belarus in red have won the opening tip, and they're attacking the basket to the left.
Major surprises on the matchups. Rachel Jarry is going to be the one that guards Snitsina, and immediately Snitsina goes right at her against the first 2.
Yep, confident start by Snitsina, and that will not make Brendan Joyce happy at all.
Liktorovich is going to try and guard Penny Taylor as well, face guarding her on the weak side.
Number 4,
Drozd reaches in and fouls Erin Phillips. Brendan Joyce has got his game face on. Penny Taylor has been the player for Australia in both of their opening games that really got them going offensively. So Jerry this time is going to drive in, draw the foul, and get to the free throw line, fouled by Schnitzina, but really you would expect her to do better, but she seems to have really struggled with her layups in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, Jerry on the first game, she had impressive numbers in that opening win, where Australia didn't play particularly well against Cuba. In that one, she had the 13.6 rebounds, but 7 turnovers. And then yesterday, very much subdued. She only played 15 minutes as everybody rotated. Just 2 points in that one.
But it's interesting that she's 22 years of age, so really relatively young, I suppose. And some of this is all about experience for her. Popova is guarded by Hodges, and Phillips is on Drozd. Lushenko goes up against Mariana Tolo. And Tolo's size denies Lushenko. So that's an interesting battle to watch today. Erin Phillips, whoa, she uncorks a jumper. And she seems to have almost been reluctant to shoot the ball in the first 2 games. But perhaps today, sensing she's going to have to step up offensively. Yeah,
well, Phillips is usually the provider. She's got so much offense around her, she doesn't need to take shots. But what's interesting about the previous offense in Belarus, for me, is Australia left Mariana Tolo to go one-on-one against Lushenko. So they're going to say, right, Mariana, you got her one-on-one, we're not going to help.
See the replay of that shot. Likarovic was fouled by Penny Taylor. Zhuiskova. Now Popova puts up the 3 and Taylor with the rebound. Jerry gets in the lane, back outside to Phillips. It was on line, but short. And then Jerry gets the rebound. Going to be tied up. So the jump ball is going to keep it with Australia.
Great offense from Australia. Good push again. Phillips, give her that shot. Phillips will be happy to take it. I'm sure Brendan Joyce will be fine as well. But they worked hard to get another possession here.
Jerry. And it was a tough shot for her to take. And Brendan Joyce shouts at the referee, asking for the foul, saying she was bumped. Popova. Likarovic. Guarded by Hodges. Gets in, spins, and ball stays out. And Taylor with the rebound. And Jerry, as she's holding the ball, it's Popova called for a foul on Tolo for holding.
It's been an anxious start for both teams, really. It hasn't been a flow yet. Jerry's been trying to attack off the dribble. I think that's because she's going at Sitsina. And you know, if they can get Sitsina into foul trouble and put her on the bench, that'll be a big loss for Belarus.
Oh, breakdown from Belarus. The inbound pass to Hodges for an easy layup. That just shouldn't happen. Torina is going to come into the game for Belarus. And Lushenko is not going to be stopped if she catches the ball that close to the basket.
Great low post play, Lushenko. What she screens, rolls, gets Mariana Tolo on her back, and then just excellent footwork and upper body strength to hold off Tolo. You know, all the work is done before the score. Interesting to see if they leave Tolo one-on-one just to play against Lushenko, or whether they do have something in store they can go to later.
Oh, a quick pass up ahead to Phillips, and Phillips has a three-point play opportunity. And guess what? Penny Taylor, if she's not scoring, she's doing something else. And terrific play by Phillips as well.
Yeah, with the awareness from Taylor. Phillips and the defender, I'm not sure who it was. It must have been Zukov, who got the foul there. You see, she just threw it ahead, knowing Phillips is quick. She can run onto it. And a strong finish from Phillips. You know, there's a lot of contact.
Well, you can see the quality there in Phillips being able to finish that play. And we've seen so many players who haven't been able to finish.
Yeah, just because she doesn't score doesn't mean she can't.
That's why she plays in the WNBA and has all the EuroLeague women experience. She's quality, and she's coming to the fore already. Choina throws it to save it, and leads to a turnover and a foul on Drozd. So that's her second foul.
That's big. We know they're a point guard down. Belarus. Drozd has played big minutes in the absence of Tarasova. You know, 30 minutes on Sunday.
Well, I mean, coming into this, did you see this as being an issue for Belarus against Australia, the play of the point guards? Because certainly it seems like Phillips is having her way right now.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's a weakness for Belarus. Obviously, they're thinner at that position because they don't have their starting point guard. But they've looked comfortable. George has been, you know, solid, with, if not spectacular, through this tournament. But the guards from Australia, they're a different proposition to the ones they've already played in Cuba and Korea.
Snitsina brings it up the floor. And you can see that Australia do not want Belarus to feel comfortable anywhere on the court. Strong man-to-man defense. Lashenka patiently passes it back out. Now Lashenka is going to catch it, and the help defense and the shot clock violation. And it's all about the Australian defense not allowing Belarus to get any semblance of an offense there.
And as I said, you know, the defense from Australia has been so organized. The scout very, very good in both their previous games, so you wouldn't expect anything less from Coach Joyce.
Taylor just goes right around Liktorovich.
Well, I said Liktorovich, if they ask her to guard Penny Taylor one-on-one, it's going to be a long night. They've got to do it with multiple players.
And Snitsina's pass was way too low, right almost into the hands of Tolo. And Lashenka out of your screen there. Now Drozd has 3 fouls, so they've got problems there. And Lashenka just looked over at the bench and said, we've got to call a timeout. And they have called a timeout.
Franca looks like she's going to come in as the sub, as we've got a timeout.
Early field goal percentage for both teams. Belarus started slowly against Korea. They were able to come back. But Rodriguez's team right now is already in a 9-point hole. And you don't want to fall too far behind this Australia team. Look at that run of 7-0.
It's been an excellent start. Australia come out of the blocks. They've had the advantage in the draw, really. Their games have got tougher as they've gone on. So they played well in the opening night. You know, the win over Cuba, 90-57. But still, there were some question marks. On Sunday against Korea, superb. They played very, very well, I thought. And then today, you know, great opportunity for them, knowing they get a win here, they've got 2 days off. So, you know, it's a great opportunity for them to play well, play really hard in this game, then get the 2 days off before the knockout stages.
You know, without Cambridge, they lose the really tall presence in the lane, but with that, with the centers that they have, do they actually gain a little more quickness on the defensive end?
Yeah, and even on the offensive end, they're a bit more spread. You know, Tolo likes to face up rather than be back to the basket. She can hit that mid-range shot. And if they do go small at times, which they do with Rachel Jarry at the 4, that makes them very versatile indeed.
So Anufrinka comes into the game to help out now with the ball handling. And yet again, Erin Phillips is wreaking havoc. I mean, she is playing like a superstar right now.
Yes, she is. I mean, Erin Phillips all over the ball, every possession. It has not been a comfortable experience for Belarus in the perimeter so far. And what that's done is Lashenka hasn't been a factor because the guards can't get the ball.
And remember, the winner of this game goes directly to the quarterfinals. Will not play again until Friday. Anufrinka misses, and Snell has come in for Australia. So that's going to be a weapon on the perimeter that Belarus are going to have to be aware of, and I'm sure they are aware of it. Viktorovich. Now, Jerry gets in, puts up a tough layup. Snell gets the rebound, back to Hodges. Hodges for 3. And Troynet battles for the rebound, and the ball falls to Snitsina. This is normally where Belarus are really good. They're able to change things, you know, and find something that works. But again, it's difficult against a team like Australia to turn things around. Snitsina finds Anufrinka, and she is fouled. Now, I'm not sure if that was a pass or a shot.
It was a shot from Cecina, I'm sure. But, we say, you know what you're going to get from Belarus. Well, actually, they've been taken out of what they usually do. A lot of touches to the inside, a lot of patience, a lot of poise and control. They haven't done that at all. They've been really hounded by the Australian pressure.
Okay, now's the time to make their move because Phillips has just come out, and Anufrinka tries to take advantage of Mitchell, but Mitchell holds her ground, and Tolo comes over for help defensively.
Another possession and no touch in the low post for Lushenka.
Viktorovich helps out. Tolo gets inside, misses, follows it up, misses again, and Lushenka now decides to bring the ball up the floor herself. And you know she can handle the ball because we saw her go behind the back the other night. Here she is, gets it strong, goes up and in.
That's why they need to go inside to her. We've questioned Australia, the depth on the inside. If Lushenka doesn't get touches, Australia will win comfortably here.
Let's see if the momentum can change here if they get a defensive stop. And Tolo, just behind the free throw line, hits the jump shot.
And that's what Tolo brings, the extension of the jump shot range she does have.
Anufrinka right now is a vital player in this Belarus team with Drozd out of the game. She's going to have to handle the ball. She's going to have to call the shots. So she's a scrappy player. She draws the foul by Mitchell. It's important for Mitchell to build on the performance of Phillips. So you see the foul.
She is trying to do that. She's got the foul because of pressure she's trying to put on, as we see Lushenka on the inside.
Looked like Snell maybe got away with one there, coming down hard on Lushenka. Anufrinka from three-point range, and Mitchell with the box out. Anufrinka reaches from behind and commits the foul. And that's free throws now for Australia.
I mean, for me, Anufrinka's got to know her role on this team. She's come in, she's only played 2 minutes, she's already taken 3 shots, which is the most on the team. She's taken as many as Lushenka. Anufrinka only averages 4 a game. So you're going to say, your job is to get the ball to Lushenka. Go to the inside, get her touches. When she starts scoring, the pressure will lessen on you on the perimeter because they're going to have to help down.
And Mitchell made just 1 of 2, but Belarus don't get the rebound. And Snell ends up taking a 3, and it's a 4-point trip down the floor for the Opals.
It's a layup for Belinda Snell. Feet set, she gets the ball. You might as well put the 3 in the book already.
And Stutsin is able to throw the ball off of Jerry. And right now, you can't help but think that Belarus are on the ropes.
And all of this for Australia. Penny Taylor on the bench. Now you see Snell, feet set. You just can't give her that shot at all.
Are we agreed that she's the best three-point shooter here in Istanbul? I mean, I don't remember her missing many. Anufrinka up top. Troina with the shot clock winding down, and she is fouled. And that is a break for Belarus. Burton. Natalie Burton, one of the front court reserves, comes in and trying to put the pressure on, commits the foul. And Lushenka right now, her leadership is really needed to kind of bring some confidence, calm things down. Anufrinka has to come out, and Zyskova returns to the floor. So Anufrinka perhaps trying to do too much for Belarus. And Troina makes the second free throw. And Aaron Phillips is back in, so it's a 2-point guard lineup. And Jerry sits down. And an offensive foul called on Lanny Mitchell, trying to clear out some space so she could bring it across the floor, bring it across the line. Good, I suppose, defensive attention by Zyskova. Now Levy comes in for Mitchell.
Mitchell just picked up her second on that one. That's why she's going to take a blow. Levy gave him good minutes so the other day. Good performance. 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists against Korea.
They find inside Lushenka, and Tolo is just
Number 14.
a giant in there, not wanting to give anything away.
Second personal foul.
Doing a good job, but you know, Lushenka, oh, she hacked her. She hacked her big time. Lushenka, as you say, you have got to ride the back of your best player. Right now, when the chips are down, you've got to go to her.
If you're Belarus, she has to have a touch on the low block at least every other offense. Even more now so because Mariana Tolo has 2 fouls. She's gone to the bench. So Kayla Francis has come in. You know, this is kind of like the 2 biggest or the 2 inside players for Australia. They've got the majority of the minutes. So if you can now attack Kayla Francis, get her in foul trouble as well, Australia are going to have to make big changes.
Well, it's the one area where Belarus clearly have an advantage. The only drawback for Belarus is that they don't want to take her out of the game. That's where they lose the advantage. It's a big drop-off, isn't it?
Yeah. And they had to do that for the rest. So now Sitsina will become the main facilitator of the offense for Belarus.
Puskevich is in for Belarus here. 7 minutes into the game. Australia with a 12-point lead. Now is the time for them to pull away. Belarus showing signs that they're going to hang around. And Puskevich blocks Snell's shot.
Not only the block, the awareness, because she switched out onto Snell. She was going to be open for the 3. So very good job by the sub from Belarus there. Good awareness, good execution on the one-on-one as well.
Entry pass to Snell. And she was challenged that time. And Kayla Francis knocks the ball out of bounds. Viktorovich up top. Puskevich gets it to Troina. Looks to get it back. Viktorovich. And Viktorovich travels.
Australia going to do a good job keeping it out of the hands of Sitsina. You know, the ball was moved from Belarus, but it never actually hit the hands of Sitsina, who is, like I said, the facilitator. She's the main offensive threat, the one that's going to make the play for Belarus in this lineup.
You know, going back to that miss by Snell, she came in 3rd in the competition, shooting 66.7% from three-point range. Snell, well, she's missed another one. I've jinxed her. Zyrskova, guarded by Levy. Crossover. Now, Troina finds Viktorovich with a backdoor cut, but she can't catch this twice. Viktorovich has been able to
Enter the game for Australia.
But I think that's interesting that Australia obviously getting out and playing really tough man-to-man, so some of those backdoor cuts might be there for Belarus. Troina on Burton. Now Rebecca Allen is into the game. Gets it to Francis. Snell, clearly the player is going to take most of the shots. Now it's going to be Levy. And Levy off the side of the rim. And a foul called on
number 14,
Troina, boxing out.
First personal foul, being Japan. Enter the game for Australia. Australia oyuna gelen number 11
Tough.
Pulled her shirt.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, she pulled her shirt. So it wasn't on the arm or on the rebound as the ball was going up. An interesting little chess match between the coaches. Brendan Joyce goes small. He brings in the front court change, so it sees now Hodges and Burton. Because Lushenka was out, they could go small. So immediately, you know, in comes Lushenka. So now she's going to have to go against a slightly quicker, smaller front line from Australia.
Rebecca Allen keeps alive and knocks it out of bounds. And meanwhile, Penny Taylor remains out of the game. Penny Taylor has played just 4 minutes. Which maybe indicates Joyce is trying to get more and more experience for his team, or these players are just growing up because they haven't really lost the initiative. Viktorovich, it's inside, puts it up. Again, denied, Now Allen brings up the floor, dumps it, and Laura Hodges missed the layup. Allen gets it back, and the quick hands from Belarus ties her up. Ball goes back over to Belarus. A good hustle from Troina. Ooh, boy, Trofimova reached in there, affected that shot.
One of the rare occasions, probably should have been a basket from Australia. Allen perhaps could have taken it herself, and then Hodges will be frustrated. Point blank at the ring. Missing the opportunity.
Lushenko back into the game, so she's caught a breather here in the final minute of the first quarter. And she's fighting Burton for position. And she wants to take Burton to score. Here she is, but the double down draws the foul from Snow.
Number 12, Belinda Snow. First personal foul, range of foul. In the game from
Australian defenders just surrounding her. Snell. It's called for the foul, but the drop down was the right thing. Tried to force Lushenko to kick it out. She is a good passer, but she has turned it over in this tournament a couple of times, quite cheaply, and given opportunities for the team to go the other way.
Well, she just caught a breather, and the coach put her right back in so they could try to finish this first quarter strong.
She has 8 of the 11 for Belarus, so that shows you why she needs to be on the floor.
Trofimova. Cody Hodges. Trofimova hasn't played that much, the captain in the tournament, but perhaps he's going to get more minutes today. Allen with the left hand, misses, but Hodges gets in there for the rebound, and Australia failed to capitalize. Now Troina goes up and makes it. And instead of fouling her, Allen let her have the shot, and it's back to a 9-point deficit now for Belarus.
Another point-blank miss for the Australians. In the paint, easy chance.
Australia going to hold it for one shot here at the end of the quarter. Jerry inside gets it to Burton, and great play from Jerry and Burton. Juskova's shot, or heave, well short. So Australia, who have led by as many as 15 points, go back in front by 11 with this play from Jerry and Burton. It's 24-13. The Opals on top of Belarus. See the struggles of from a shooting standpoint for Belarus. Australia a little bit better. Also in the rebounds, 7 offensive rebounds for Australia. In terms of second chance points, they've had 4. And 2 blocks for Australia. 7 points off the bench for Australia. And of course, they've had the biggest run of 9 consecutive points. Do you feel like Belarus have sort of slowed Australia down a little bit with their starters out of the game?
I mean, Australia have been comfortable. They've gone really deep into their bench. We mentioned the fact Penny Taylor, she only played 4 minutes. She's got 2 points. She's hardly been involved in an offense at all, only taken the single shot. So, you know, for me, what's interesting is Australia, we come in saying, well, who's going to stop Lushenko for Australia? The answer is no one, because she's got 8 points in the first quarter. But what they've done is they've said, well, we're going to leave Lushenko to go 1-on-1. We're going to let her score because we're just going to really go after the rest of the players on the floor. We're going to go after the other 4. We're going to turn them over. We're going to stop them being able to get the ball to Lushenko. So it's an interesting tactic from Australia, and it's worked. You know, they've held them to 13 points. They've turned over Belarus 5 times in this first period. So credit again to Brenda Joyce.
24-13, the FIBA World Championship for women. Australia on top of Belarus. And Sioskova fouls Aaron Phillips, who's come back into the game. Also Penny Taylor back into the game. Jerry passes over to Taylor, and she's being guarded by Liktorovic again. Lushenko comes out to help Taylor for three and puts up an air ball.
Well, that's what I'm talking about, the multiple defenders. So Liktorovic starts and Penny Taylor comes off the screen. Lushenko hedges, stops her, and then Troina is the one that comes over. Right down, a weak turnover.
Very weak turnover, and that allows Penny Taylor to score an easy bucket. And Grigas is going to come back in. Excuse me, he's going to bring Drozd back in, presumably with 3 fouls.
Grigas he's shown he's a risk taker before when it comes to fouls, so no surprises.
Troina tries to feed, and great defensive play from Jerry. Now the ball goes off of Phillips. Hustle and the dive for the loose ball. Nope, there's going to be a foul.
Number 13,
So Troina picks up a foul for piling on top of Jerry. Zioskova comes out of the game, and Drozd with 3 fouls and checks back in. Well, that turnover was not what Belarus needed, that's for sure, after getting the stop. Jerry. Taylor over to Burton, and Burton puts up an air ball. Snitsina, she hasn't really gotten into the flow of things yet. And the ball goes out of bounds. Have they done anything exceptional, do you think, to slow Snitsina down?
Well, they're just denying her touches. She's not particularly great on the dribble, and they've exploited the fact they've held her to the perimeter and really denied her from even touching the ball. We saw her have a slow first half yesterday, though, so I don't think she'll be worried yet.
She just gets a little space and chucks one up there, but
Jerry's done a very good job again. Didn't give her the room.
Foul on number 7 for Australia. Penny Taylor.
It's the elbow. Watch the left arm. There you go. Just holding kind of on the face of Liktorovic there.
Penny Taylor's 2nd foul. And a technical foul has been called on Brendan Joyce, I think, for getting out of the coach's box.
No, he was yapping,
mouthing?
right into the coach's ear, the referee's ear. Yeah, excuse me. He's standing right next to him, so he didn't have to say a lot. Be sure the referee could understand what he was saying.
This is from a neutral perspective, do you think this is pretty poor from Joyce to get a technical in this situation when you're up by 13 points?
Well, we'll find out in a couple of minutes, because if Belarus going to run, Sina, who he said has been really struggling, she's only got 2 points. She's now made 2 from the line. A little bit of confidence, an extra 2 points for them, plus possession. These type of things can change the game. They can give momentum to a team. The trouble is, Belarus just turned it over, so maybe it doesn't matter at all. Australia just have the quality to, compound the fact that their coach has got them a mistake. Picked up the technical.
Well, Burton hands it off to Jerry, and Jerry gets inside, puts it up nice and soft that time.
She's been very aggressive, hasn't she, Rachel Jarry? Every time she's got the ball, put it on the floor, got to the ring.
And that was definitely a foul on Burton coming from behind on Lushenko. Her second, and the second for Australia here in the quarter.
Belarus need to get back to their style of basketball. They run if they have the opportunity. If not, they bring it down slowly. They know where they're going to get the ball. They play within their system. They haven't done that so far, really. It's been a bit frantic for them.
4 players with 2 fouls for Australia, including Tolo, who was going to come in, but instead Joyce sends Tolo back to sit down, and brings in Kayla Francis, and now she picks up a foul, her first foul on Lashenka. So it looks like they're trying to completely take Lashenka out of the game, even if they have to foul her.
Oh, the fouls are racking up though. Tola has 2, Burton has 2, Francis now with 1.
And they can't stop Lashenka from getting it. And Joyce winces. It's back to an 11-point deficit for Belarus. Pass to Kayla Francis. And Lashenka with the rebound. She'll finish with a double-double, no question. Smitsina passed up the 3 to get it to Lashenka again. Oh, I would have bet money on Lashenka making that. Natalie brings it across midcourt. Now Phillips, who hasn't really been as assertive here in the second. It's been more of the Jerry show. Jerry back outside. Over to Phillips for 3. And it was online, but stayed out, and Francis puts it up. And this is kind of a quick shot from Kayla Francis. And Droz, well, that's what she does. All of a sudden, she just lets one fly. We don't expect it. Belarus chased down that long rebound.
This is better from Belarus. Look, this is the type of thing I'm talking about. They go for the offensive rebound, they take their time, and now they're going to get into the pick and roll with Lashenka.
Viktorovich gets the pick, and the foul called on Australia. Another one on Kayla Francis. She has 2.
Running out bodies that don't have 2 fouls on the inside. So now will Gabe Richards come in, or will they go to somebody who's already got 2? Tolo, Burton and Francis all have the 2 fouls. It's still a long time to go, 6:20 in this second quarter.
Popova goes at Hodges. That's a tough shot from Popova. And no red shirts under the basket. And Kayla Francis hits the 3, and that's a bonus. That's going to force Lashenka to go out and guard her.
Yeah, Francis does have that range. She shot it in both the previous 2 games as well.
Viktorovich puts her head down, drives to the basket. That play hasn't really been there for Belarus. And another quick play up the floor into the Hodges basket. And Australia back in front by 14 points. Belarus called a timeout.
Делай 2 стороны, играть. Может на правую сыграть длинным шагом, да? Может повернуть и брошь. Но такое, что поворачиваешься и бросаешь через руки, такого нет. Потому что все отсекли, ты одна играешь. Нет подбора, сразу быстро идет. Девчонки, не играем комбинацию совсем. Стоим очень. Не стойте, двигаться. Двигаться надо. Двигаться, все время двигаться.
Get easy baskets, okay? And if it's not, then you have to move them, right? Then the
11 points
penetration
off 2 turnovers for Australia, so that's
Remember,
very good
if
for
we
them.
get stuck,
And Belarus not
we
able
are on balling off Lashenka, and
to
you are
have that much
rolling, not
success
popping.
to turn
Roll
that
to
many
the rim.
turnovers into
We've got to
points.
space it out because we can penetrate once we move the basket.
The Belarusian
Right?
offense
Penetrate
has
the
not been
bench.
fluid. Decision making hasn't been as good as it usually has, I have to say. You know, particularly Anna Franka and Viktorovich have been forcing the action offensively. Neither of them have scored yet. They're not major players coming in for Belarus in terms of their offensive production. And Australia have forced them to be the ones that are trying to create. And that's good for the Australian defense, not particularly good for the Belarus team.
You can see the reaction from Joyce. Lives and dies on every possession. Well, second quarter action resumes. Smitsina and Belarus down by 16 points. So it's the biggest lead of the game for Australia, and they're showing no signs of letting up. Look at Jerry just take it away. And the more you watch Jerry, Viktorovich picks up the foul. The more you watch Jerry, you understand that her ability to play defense is what keeps her on the floor.
Fantastic defense. Look at this, quick hands, but she's already cut off the initial move by Tsitsina. You know, the coaches have obviously spoken to her and said, this is a key matchup. You've got to guard Tsitsina, got to do a really good job. And then at the other end, attack her. See if you can get her moving, see if you can tire her down or even pick up a couple of fouls. And that's exactly what Jarry's been doing.
Second one is good, and now Australia. You know, we came today, we're like, boy, that's going to be some game between Belarus and Australia. And now Droz just loses the ball into the hands of Hodges, and back to Jerry, and the lead has ballooned to 20 points.
Well, Penny Taylor's sat on the bench, but Rachel Jarry's almost stepped up in her place. 12 points personal for Jarry. Fantastic first half. On both ends of the floor from her as well.
Tsitsina travels, and the look of resignation, of frustration, of disbelief in the eyes of the coach of Belarus just tells you he doesn't know what to do. He's going to make a substitution and bring Tsitsina out. And Troina goes back into the game. Now Snell's in. Kayla Francis has already had that, put that 1-3. Australia going to make Belarus work on defense. It's going to be Francis missing and Drozd for Belarus, but Australia have just been a different class, and it's all started on this end of the floor. They have just blanketed the Belarusians. You can see not letting them get into anything.
Again, forced action. Australia push. The speed of movement from the Australians, one side to the other, inside, outside. Francis didn't need to foul. It's going to be her third. It's a poor breakdown from her. The sub was waiting to come in.
But if Francis goes out, and if it is a weakness of Australia, the inside game without Cambridge, we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it at all. And you're starting to wonder now about the prospects of this Australia team to be beating Belarus like this. Phillips on the ball. Draws now. It's Snell up against Liktorovic. And Liktorovic puts up a tough shot. And another foul on Liktorovic coming over the back. And this thing's just getting out of hand. That's 2 fouls on Liktorovic.
The problem Belarus have is at the moment they have nobody which requires Australia to help or to guard with the two people. So they've got no one can break down their player and draw a second. They've got no one that when they catch it or when they come off a screen, 2 Australian players have to go. And so because they haven't got this situation where one player is able to attract 2 Australian defenders, the other 4 players, which are so used to getting it, catching and shooting for an open shot, or catching it with a defender recovering, and now catching it and having to break their man down one-on-one, which they're not able to do.
So the only player that they would have like that would be Lushenko.
Yeah, and you know,
she's out of the game.
Yeah, and they've got to give her some sort of a break.
So he gets in and fouled by Popova.
And this is where we see for Australia, you know, Phillips has shown that ability. And Rachel Jarry consistently, look, there's the second defender comes. She's looking to kick it. We know Penny Taylor can do that. So, you know, multiple players from Australia have that ability. And what that means is someone like Belinda Snell, who we're talking about, is a great three-point shooter. She doesn't have to do too much. What she's able to do is move on the three-point line, find her space, so when she catches it and she's open, she hits a three-point shot. The other way, for Belarus, none of their players have the opportunity where they're catching and shooting. They're all catching, faking, catching and driving, and it's making it very difficult for them to get clean looks at the basket.
Jerry's free throw takes it up to the biggest lead of the game. 22 points. Lushenko comes back.
Rachel Jerry is the best goal of the game.
And
she has broken
full court pressure. They got to hurry up. Droz, and she does get it across. But it's Levy who's hounding her. Now Phillips is on Anufrienka. Troina gives it over to Lashenka. Troina, did she get off in time? Yes, she did, but it doesn't matter. Australia get it, and Phillips' pass leads Snell too much.
That's a good example on the offensive end, though. Lashenka gets it, the double team comes, kicked out. Troina got a good look at it. She just happened to miss this one. It was a far better offense than they have got. Now, Australia really a couple of inches of a pass away for another layup on transition.
Drozd over to Lashenka and inside to Popova. So something positive is last. And that's a 4-point swing because Australia had the fast break, but Snell open from the right, and wow, she just hits another three-pointer.
Well, the words Snell and open cannot go together if you're a Belarusian defender.
Lashenka goes straight at Gabe Richards, and Gabrielle Richards holds her ground. Lashenka misses. Now another three, open. Snell, they dodged the bullet that time. Drozd. Now into Popova, and Popova is blocked by Phillips. And that's the kind of game it's been. The center is blocked by the point guard.
Yeah, absolutely. The effort, clean as anything as well from Phillips. Rotation from her. Biggs went back in time, so she just helps him out.
Popova misses mid-range. Phillips looks ahead. Lashenka is out there really putting pressure on Richards. She switches. Now Snell, 6 on the shot clock, 5. Snell in the lane. Good. Snell now starting to have herself quite a scoring game. She's got 8 points. A couple of threes and that basket right there. It's Jerry with the 14 points who has the game high. Peter Taylor, meanwhile, is down at the beach sipping a nice cold drink, not having to come in. I mean, it's like finally Troina hits a jump shot for Belarus, but it's a 23-point Australia lead. Anufrienka fouls Phillips.
Just haven't found a way to slow down this Australian offense either, as well as their struggles, Belarus. And the problem is Australia, similar to the Americans, they're so deep. They've got so many weapons and they're so versatile in the way you play. So you should say, can Belarus change their defense? The problem is you change your defense to a zone, and we've already seen Belinda Snell's just going to wander sideline to sideline along the baseline. They'll probably find her for an open three, and that's just going to bust your defense. So how can you guard the Australian team?
Look at those numbers. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists. Now 7 points. And don't forget that block. She's doing a little bit of everything. And Anufrienka just threw an elbow to get away from Aaron Phillips for a forearm. And Phillips is just so good that it's come to that. Watch this. Yep, she just kind of nudged her with her forearm.
Yeah, well, it's the pressure. The pressure and the constant pressure Aaron Phillips is able to put on the ball. She's able to guard so close without being beaten. It makes it incredibly difficult for the point guard.
Phillips goes in, back outside to Levy. Levy has it stolen. Popova picks it up with Phillips bearing down on her. Viktorovich inside to Lashenka. Lashenka denied by Gabe Richards. And Gabrielle Richards passes outside to Snelly. That's what the Aussies call her. Snell. So the final 6 seconds here of the first half. And Phillips gets it to Snell for 3. So that is how it ends, 46-21. And I suppose if we look on the bright side, they haven't reached 50 points, but Australia dominating Belarus at the moment. Well, if you're an Aussie, this makes great viewing, but if you're a Belarusian, it's horrendous.
It's been an absolute defensive clinic, really, from Australia. Yes, they've scored 46 points, but 25 rebounds to 17. They've shot the ball extremely well because they've got opportunities easily in transition coming from the platform that their defense has created. Just done a very, very good job of taking Belarus out of anything they want to run. And one-on-one, they have been very, very good.
Australia making believers out of people today against a good Belarusian team. They are in total command at halftime. Looks like they could be on the way to the quarterfinals by the end of this one. They lead it 46-21. Aaron Phillips there with the 4 steals. You can see she also has the 7 points. Jerry Lashenka has the 10 points, but right now it's all Australia.
Serbest atış kullanacak. Sırası Belarus'ta. Offensive final, hücum time, number 99 numarayla
So, ladies and gentlemen, our hosts are going to give you free t-shirts. Mio and Basket has got some free t-shirts for you. Call them and get your t-shirts. Maskotlarınızı çağırarak tişörtlerinize kavuşabilirsiniz. Mio and Basket. Я вам не слышу. Беларусь, вы где? Говорю, Беларусь. А где Беларусь? Я вам не слышу, не вижу. Беларусь, где? So, ladies and gentlemen, please give a big applause for Mio Basket. Mio ve Basket'i teşekkürlerimizi sunuyoruz. Teşekkürler Mio, teşekkürler Basket. Thank you very much, Mio and Basket. Please give them a big applause.
Well, the Belarusian fans are dancing, but their team isn't winning. They're trailing 46-21 here against Australia. Well, I guess there's no need to sit around and feel sorry for yourselves. They know at least that they'll be moving on to the next phase of the competition, but it's unlikely to be in first place and straight to the quarterfinals. That looks like Australia already have 1 foot in the quarterfinals in this battle for first place in Group C. They lead it 46-21, and they've dominated pretty much in every facet of the game. Lloyd, I suppose at this stage of the game, if you're Belarus, what do you do? I mean, what did they talk about at halftime?
Well, they've got to do a better job handling the defensive pressure. And as we said, the shot selection at times from Belarus was slightly questionable. Lushenko has proved over and over again, really, and throughout this tournament, but especially in this game, she is the one player that can cause problems for Australia. She has 10 points, 4 rebounds. She only played 16 minutes, so she did get a bit of a rest. She needs to get a touch for me, at least every other offense on the low post. Because when Belarus go there, not only does Lushenko get good shots, but she also causes the Australian defense to rotate or adapt the way that it's playing and get open shots for other people. You know, when Lushenko's out of the game or when they're not using her, it's just too easy for Australia to play one-on-one, which they've shown they're able to do against the other players.
Press break. Make sure we go middle, look long, throw it back, move to the side, look middle, long, look to attack 2-on-1, 3-on-2. They fall
Rachel Cherry has established herself,
in
case you didn't know, as a big-time player in this Australia team.
Spring to the third side and get your 3-point shot there. If not, we go into an on.
The other thing that
so we're prepared against pressing
Belarus do have is they can look and say Setsina's only got 4 points. She's only taken 3 shots, 1 of 3 yesterday. You know, similar sort of set of circumstances. She didn't play particularly well in the first half, but came alive against Cuba. You know, had that huge 3 to essentially win them the game. But the problem for Belarus is Penny Taylor hasn't really done anything in this game either. Penny Taylor, in the same breath, has only taken 3 shots. She only has 4 points, and we know about her quality and her ability to take over a game.
And that's a great thing that can be perceived as a great thing for Australia, because it just goes to show, hey, we're not a one-player team. But on the other hand, you also want Penny Taylor to be in the flow of the competition, because there will come a time when she's going to have to step it up.
I don't think that's a problem with it. Someone as experienced as Penny Taylor, you know, she's played 4 major championships for Australia. She's averaged double figures in every one of them. She's won an MVP of a World Championships before. So I think she has the ability now to kind of turn it on as and when. So I don't think she'll be looking at this first round or the group phases and too worried if her average isn't right up there.
46-21, Australia on top of Belarus here at the FIBA World Championship for women. The battle for first place in Group C. Drozd gets it back to Lushenko. That was a nice pass from Drozd.
Very good. And Ball into the hands of Lushenko as well. So good first play from Belarus. They have to build on this though. It can't just have, you know, a single play, solitary play. It's got to be multiple possessions.
Hodges catches the ball and shoots it over the rim. Now Drozd. It's going to be Popova. She was attempting to get position and was fouled clearing out. Hodges. Third foul, Popova. Tsitsina reaches over and fouls Jerry.
Number 6,
Some cheap ones against Belarus, really. It's just lazy defense from Tsitsina. Also Popova, she's posting up, she's got her hands behind her. She knows she's not going to get away with that.
Now Likorovic comes out on Taylor. She gets it to Hodges. Tsitsina gets it to Likorovic and Lushenko comes up with it. Drozd now. Her pass somehow hits off Lushenko, then the rim, and falls to Popova. So some good fortune for Belarus. Likorovic, her pass taken away by Taylor.
Telegraphed. Knew exactly where it was going to go. Penny Taylor too experienced.
Lushenko battling. And Tolo, Australia forcing it a little there. And up to Lushenko. Look at her run the floor. But then she got too far into the basket. She couldn't shoot it. Tsitsina for three. Well, it ends up not hurting him, but helping him.
Well, it's the first time Tsitsina really has had a clean look at a three. Think about the other couple she took. It's off the dribble. There's hand in her face.
Well, a positive for Belarus is they've knocked 20% off of the deficit here at the start. Can they continue? Likorovic is really going out and putting the pressure on Taylor. Can't play defense like that.
Threat against Likorovic. I'm not sure who else Belarus have that can guard Taylor as well.
Jerry to Taylor, and Taylor's pass should have been intercepted by Likorovic. Taylor from the left hits the three, and that is a real heartbreaker for Belarus. Played pretty good defense. Now Likorovic hits the three.
They're the threes Belarus can hit. They've run a little bit more than they're used to, and they've got open looks in transition.
Taylor gets it to Tolo, and again, very tough shot, and she makes it.
The difference is Belarus are trying to force Taylor. I'm not sure if it's to her left hand or the middle. They keep sending it that way, and Taylor's taken the invitation 2 or 3 times, got to the paint, found someone wide open.
And for the second time in a row, an Australian just takes the ball away on the pass. Burton overshoots. Probably the only thing that's keeping Belarus in the game right now is that Australia have missed opportunities down low. Draws the three. She brings the range with her three-pointers. Now Jerry. And Popova picks up her 4th foul, trying to keep Tolo away from the basket.
Tolo does a tremendous job of getting down the floor, sealing early. She runs the floor with a good motor. You see, she's ahead of everyone, despite the fact that she challenged and was engaged on the defensive rebound as well.
Popova comes out. Troina into the game.
It's not a major, loss with Troina coming in, except the fact that she's got 2 fouls as well.
Jerry doesn't hesitate. She attacks, draws the foul from Tsitsina.
Number 6,
She just doesn't have the foot quickness to keep with Jerry, does she?
No, but look at the shot Jerry's taken. You can't foul that. If Rachel Jerry makes that shot, you say, congratulations, great offense. As we look at, a big loss for Belarus.
Tarasova.
Yeah, but But Sina has to be smarter. She's got to say, okay, you're getting to the ring. It's going to be a lap, but it's a low percentage one. I won't foul. I'll grab a rebound. We can try and go the other way, knowing Rachel Jarry will be out of position.
It's one of two. 52-29. Sina gets in a push on Jerry. You know, it's interesting with Jackson and Cambridge out. You know, basically, you know, the other Australians, they know they've got to raise their level. And it's kind of created opportunities for some of these players. And you can see that Jerry, especially today, is really taking advantage of the opportunity. Now, another foul. 3 on her. Tolo.
In the game for Australia,
Hodges in for Tolo. Pashenka just gets in, turns it over. Taylor. Oh, look at them run the floor, but good hustle from Draws to come down and knock it away into the hands of Likarovic. Back to Draws. Entry pass stolen.
Taylor's guarding Lushenko. Why would you throw a bounce pass? Well, Taylor has a chance to steal it, and yeah, she doesn't.
They're trying to get it back too quickly. Taylor. Fouled by Traina.
Number 13.
Decision making by Penny Taylor is always very good, isn't it? You know, even the decision there, you know, of when to drive, when not to drive. You don't really see her force the action at all. When she gets into the paint, she's under control. You know, she's not going into multiple defenders. She's already beaten the player she's guarded. So she just, it's the decision of when to go, when to pass, when to attack. Always spot on.
So Taylor misses the first. It's kind of academic at this point, because they're so far ahead.
8 points. 3 rounds.
Likarovic. Well, they're trying to get it inside, but Australia no, and Shanko reaches over and fouls Jerry. I don't think it's time to throw in the towel for Belarus, but you just can't see them now making any progress. They got it at 20, and it's just not happening, is it?
Nothing's working for Belarus now. And there was a frustration with Lushenko there. She was in good position. Jerry had the ball, and Lushenko almost, you could almost see her say, I've had enough, you know, and just reach around to commit a foul so she could be substituted out.
Well, I don't know if you would say that Jerry is the player of the game or Phillips. Certainly Jerry could lay claim to it the way she's gone after it all game long. But Phillips kind of helped set the tone. Look at her harass Ziaskova.
And what Rachel Jarry has done is she's got to the line exceptionally well. 13 of 14 shears from the stripe.
Likarovic up top, gets into the lane, hands it off, and Sina faces the pressure from guess who? Rachel Jarry. And the pass inside to Burton. I think Brendan Joyce is going to be buying his players some steaks tonight.
Well, you're going to have 2 days off from the look of it if this continues for the next 15 minutes, because they're coasting right now.
Another turnover. Taylor takes it the other way. I mean, never mind. You know, how does this damage the psyche of Belarus? If, you know, next opponent would be from Group D.
China.
So,
I mean, China, obviously, they're coming off the disappointing loss as well. But, yeah, you're absolutely right. And these things do carry themselves forward. You know, you've got to turn around now. You've got China to play tomorrow, and that's a knockout. You lose that one, tournament's over. So you have to recover.
And does that in any way play into Grigas' thinking right now that it's time to take the Lashenkas and the starters out and rest them for tomorrow when you're trailing 57-29 with 4:44 remaining in the third?
I think it's perhaps a little early to think about it now. But yeah, I think as you get into the fourth quarter, it absolutely does. You rest them up for tomorrow.
They have scored twice as many points as Belarus. Now more than twice that number. So 59-29. And in one sense, for Australia, it's to have a couple of days off might not be what you want at this stage. You're playing so well, and you're building confidence.
Well, they've got better every game, haven't they? We come out in the first game, they played pretty well against Cuba, but still, I mean, I don't think there was anyone saying they were a surefire medal contender after that performance. Then Sunday against Korea, they were very impressive. Today they've been just as good.
Number 13.
The problem Australia have got really are any of the three teams they've faced very challenging. They haven't been in a game yet. So when they come to the knockout stages, if someone really gives them a shot, really gives them a good game, they haven't got that experience as a group in this tournament together.
Mean if the game becomes tight late?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but don't forget Belarus. We came in talking how this was going to be a great game, and they have just completely dismantled this. Okay, I do.
Yeah, I agree, but I don't think this is a Belarus team that is in the top tier, if we're honest. You know, coming into quarterfinals, semifinals, possible final. Yeah. They're missing a starter, and they're missing another one in Viramenko, who's not even here. So, don't get me wrong, it's still a good team, but I don't think Australia have faced any of that top tier yet. And you never know when you face another team of a comparable level how your team's going to respond.
Long one. Well, maybe right now all they need to focus on is just try to get some good feeling back in their game. Taylor Francis goes in, and Taylor hustles in for the rebound. Out it goes to Rebecca Allen, and Erin Phillips gets another rebound.
Back-to-back offensive rebounds from Australia from the point guard and the two guard.
And Belarus looked tired at this stage. Erin Phillips over to Allen, another three attempt. Now Anu Frienka brings it across midcourt. Troina gets into the lane, over to Snitsina. Ball just goes out of bounds.
Lack of purpose of the Belarus team on the offensive end. They don't know how they can get scores at the moment. They don't know how to run their offense to get a clean look. So the indecision's coming in. Troina, kind of tried to back a man down. Then she thinks about kicking, and it's a weak pass. It goes straight out of bounds.
For Belarus, number 11
comes out.
And number 14,
Troina comes out.
Natalie
Shanka re-enters. Trofimova as well back in. Taylor turns into the Shanka and turns it over. Zhuskova gets it to Snitsina. Anna Frienka, a little pump fake. Now Allen. You knew that it was going to eventually fall for Rebecca Allen.
I mean, life has been taken out of this game now. Australia so comfortable with the way that they've played. They've still got such an advantage on this defensive end over Belarus.
We're going to see Voishal come in for Belarus. We haven't seen her in the entire tournament. Lashenka short. And Mitchell chases it. Snitsina gets it back. Pliskova's attempt to pass it inside. Definitely Australia, number 2 in the rankings. Without Cambridge and without Jackson, they look pretty good. Shenka backs. Kayla Francis up, and Kayla Francis knocks it into the hands of Richards. And Franka slows up Mitchell. And Kayla Francis had a good look, but couldn't score with her left hand. Wonder what the other teams that'll face Australia will make of this.
Number 6,
potentially. Certainly will be catching somebody's attention. So, on balance, it looks like we've got some really good teams in this World Championship. We've seen Serbia play extremely well. Belarus gets in. Spain are still unbeaten. USA have yet to lose. Turkey have yet to lose. So it's an exciting tournament here at the FIBA World Championship for women.
Number 12,
I'm sure I'll call this game exciting at this stage with 46.3 seconds to go in the third quarter, but I guess for the Australians it must be pretty exciting to see their team play this convincingly. And Joyce as well. Look at him.
I think the execution from Australia has been very good. You can only play what's in front of you. You know, they can only defeat the teams comfortably as they've done. They haven't needed to play better. They can't really have played that much better than they have done up till now. And what I say, we've repeated ourselves from the first half, but defensively they are so organised, they're so prepared, and the players are able to execute that game plan very well indeed. 3 straight games we've seen them be able to do that.
It's also crucial that we've seen Erin Phillips come out today. Look like she's one of the best guards in the competition. And we've seen Jerry come out and really just excel on both ends of the floor. And Francis continues to show that she can play good minutes as well on that low post. Here's Rebecca Allen. Now Trofimova up to Anna Frienka. Pulls it back out. 7 seconds left in this quarter. Anna Frienka. And Trofimova has to throw up a rushed shot just because Australia at no time are giving Rematas Grigas' team any chance to put up shots. And you see the look on his face. He doesn't really know what to do at this stage. His team has just been completely destroyed in 3 quarters of basketball. They trail 65-32. Eight of 27 are Belarus inside the arc against that vaunted Australia defense. The Australians are beating them on the boards. Australia have 13 steals, 5 blocks. They forced 21 Belarus turnovers. And it's just been a masterclass from the Opals.
Absolutely. There you see Coach Grigas, his reaction. An extremely disappointing performance from Belarus, but you've got to say it's credit to Australia. They forced this performance really from Belarus. As poorly as Belarus have played, and I don't think they've been that bad, it has been Australia that have been that good really.
Please give a big applause for V1 Soccer Team. Thank you very much. Teşekkürler.
65-32, Australia on top here of Belarus at the FIBA World Championship for women in Istanbul, Turkey, the Abdi Apechi. And Penny Taylor, who's played a lot of games in this arena because she's played professionally in Turkey before, the Fenerbahce. She's out on the court right now. Belinda Snell short on that one. And Burton goes up for the rebound for Australia. And they're just taking Belarus apart. Tessa Levy over to Penny Taylor. Lashenka gets that rebound. Boyshall getting minutes here in the World Championship for the first time for an opening. She puts one up and puts up an air ball. 9 minutes now to go in this contest.
19-year-old Vorshall, as she said, getting her first experience. She's the only one not to have played any major championship for Belarus. It's an experienced Belarus team. You know, they're the third oldest in this tournament at 28 years of age on average. Shows you, you know, he talks about how they know what they do, how more impressive this Australian performance is.
Oh, Taylor goes up, tries to follow, and because the shot did not hit the rim, it's a shot clock violation. So you can see it's an interesting, you know, Taylor's okay there, just a rough landing as the referees discuss the shot clock violation. I think that's what they're going to say.
I think that's
what they're calling. Yeah.
They were late on calling it, but I don't think she did get it away before the shot clock went off.
So basically what we have this year with the competition, it's a 16-team competition, and the interception from Snell, Levy goes up and draws the foul, so another mistake by Belarus. The system of competition for the 16 teams of the 4 groups, again the replay, is that you've got the winner of each group, which gets direct entry to the quarterfinals. Now the USA won Group D their first 2 games, and Turkey, although they edged France in their first game 50-48, they won their first 2 games, so they've gained direct entry to the quarterfinals. And after today, if Spain can hold on and beat the Czech Republic, they will get direct entry by winning first place in Group A. And then Australia, if they go on to win this game, which seems likely, unless you believe in miracles, they will get a direct entry to the quarterfinals. And they will have a couple days off to prepare. The other teams that finish second and third in each of these groups will go into the what they call the qualifications for quarterfinals. So Spain have won their game. They've clinched it 67-43. So they've reached the quarterfinals. They beat the Czech Republic today. Here's a look at the play from Anu Fryenka.
It's really interesting. I like the changes in the competition. They've changed it around. It gives you the bonus if you do play well in your group stages. You get the victory in your group, you're the best team, you move into the quarterfinals. If you finish second or third, you still have that chance to advance.
So what you're going to end up having will be Belarus, as we talked about earlier, would face China if they don't come back and win this game. And Serbia, because they finished second, will face either Korea or Cuba. Now, Kayla Francis, or Penny Taylor, gets to 12 points. Timeout on the floor. So there's timeouts on the floor here with Belarus. You look at the points from turnovers, 22 for Australia.
Лена, вы играете пик-н-ролл такой.
They've had 7
Если есть
turnovers.
возможность пройти, проходишь и ищешь здесь карты сразу. Если флер играешь, не получилось,
biggest
сразу
thing
здесь
is
так, уходи в угол, чтобы если
look at
проходить будет, чтобы тебя
the
сбросить.
numbers from
Лена
Belarus.
сюда. Значит,
They've turned it over
ты поднимаешь
23
себе.
times.
Девчонки.
Yelena Lyshenko has 12 points and 10 rebounds, but she won't be too bothered about that right now. Their team getting beat soundly,
Встала? Встала, да?
35 points.
Оля.
So the likelihood is that Belarus would face China, and Serbia will take on Korea or Cuba in the qualifications for the quarterfinals. The Czech Republic would take on France or Canada, since the Czechs have lost to Spain, and then either France or Canada would face Brazil, who were surprisingly easy winners over Japan. Japan just didn't get it going in this tournament like they thought they might. They were beating the Czech Republic in their second game, but the FIBA Asia champions, having lost Ashida, their point guard, to a serious knee injury, they weren't as good this year.
It makes it some really interesting games. Like we say, you know, the next one we've got coming up here from Istanbul, Cuba and Korea is a battle for that entry into the qualification round, and then France and Canada, they're playing off to see, you know, where they're going to finish in their group stages as well over in Ankara. So that will have a direct result, not a direct result, a direct meaning for this game here, because Australia, should they go on to win, take top seed in Group C, they will then play the winner of the qualification game between the Czech Republic and the loser of that Canada-France game. So, you know, those three teams, whoever it may be, that's going to be a difficult quarter-final matchup for Australia.
Offensive foul on Japan, number 9, 9 numara. Natalie Burton.
Another foul.
The problems for Anna Ferenka just continue, really. Erin Phillips, she's going to have nightmares of a number 13 in the yellow jersey tonight.
Well, at least twice she's used her forearm to try to get her off of her.
And then, you know, she's turned it over as well because of the strong defense from Erin Phillips. She really has caused big problems. And Ferenka, 2 turnovers, 1 of 6 from the field.
Bounce pass to Natalie Burton.
Again, it's Phillips. The defense isn't enough. She's added the offense today as well. Saw her scoring early. What a game. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists for Erin Phillips, and all of that defense as well.
Yeah, what's scary is probably the best part of her game today has been her defense. Lyshenko drives in. Now Phillips takes it the other way, inside to Tolo. Boy, this is going to get ugly for Belarus. Erin Phillips has, I was going to say, she has 6 steals, and she also has a block.
It's our 7th.
Yeah, I mean, you asked Jeff about conserving energy for the next game. I think it's about that time for Belarus. You know, Lyshenko, Tsitsinas especially, may need to come out.
All the timeouts, Belarus.
Well, 75-37, Australia continued to dominate Belarus. Cruise towards first place in Group C.
Quick look at the minute spread against Cuba. Drod's played 30 minutes, Tsitsinas 33.
While you do that, just look at the shooting percentage. Just go ahead,
Sorry. Lyshenko played 39. So those three especially, they've got a lot of minutes in their legs. None of them are young. Lyshenko 31, Drod's 31, Tsitsinas 29. So we know in a knockout game, they're going to need to be playing like 30 plus, possibly 35 plus for Tsitsinas and Lyshenko. So it may be the time now, this last 5 minutes, a game there's no chance realistically of Belarus getting back into. They may have to rest.
There you see the stats from Phillips. That was also the no-look variety, that assist. It's hard to believe that Phillips wasn't a part of that London Olympic team. It's incredible, isn't it? She wasn't selected because I think she couldn't commit to the number of camps that the former coach wanted. Now, pass up ahead to Lainey Mitchell and to Natalie Burton. And Burton is fouled by Ziaskova. I mean, it is a rich tradition when you think about the Opals. I remember going even as far back as '98 when I first saw them play in Berlin at the FIBA World Championship for women. You know, they were already on their way to probably greatness by that point. Their coach was Tom Marr at the time, who's now the coach of China. You see Lashenko coming out. And, you know, they kind of, shall we say, peaked for a period there with Jackson. And we thought maybe they're on the way down, but I think what we've seen today is that the Opals program is strong, isn't it?
Well, they've got great strength and depth, strong domestic league. Again, they've relied on the greatness of Lauren Jackson, then Penny Taylor, now Cambridge as well. And you think, oh, you know, when Lauren Jackson goes, perhaps the Australia level will drop, but then Cambridge comes, and you see these great young players here as well. You know, Levy, she's just 21 years of age. Of course, we talked about the impact that Rachel Jarry's had. She's 22. Rebecca Allen is only 21 as well. So they've got good players, a good core still for the future.
Well, that ball doesn't get any rim and goes out of bounds. And the long faces on the Belarusian bench, including that of Yelena Lashenko. You know, there's no longer Natalia Marchenko in this Belarus team. And Vera Mayinka isn't playing this year. She'll be back, and she's a quality player. You know, she could be effectively one of the top players in Europe when she's around. But it also shows, if you look at the substitutions, the importance of regeneration of national team programs. You know, these are things that you have to think about. You have to think about, when do you bring in your young players? When do you bring in, you know, how long do you go with your veterans? And, you know, I know that there are observers that watch these games and make these comments. You know, some teams stick with their veterans too long and they don't bring the young ones in and get them experience.
You've also got to have the quality, though, to be able to do that. So Australia, they've got the embarrassment of riches, like we said, because they've got Levy. She's the third string point guard, but look at the quality she's able to bring. You know, Rachel Jarry, she's 22 years of age, but she's got the quality. She's already playing in the WNBA, so they're breeding players that are already there in terms of their level for Australia. You know, if you haven't got the players of that level, you can't really bring them in to give them experience.
Ideally, what you like to do is you like to have a mix of veterans and youth coming in at the same time.
Absolutely.
So the youth don't have too much pressure on them maybe at the start, and they can learn from the veterans. That's sort of what you've got with this team. You've got a good mix.
That's absolutely right. You look at someone like Rebecca Allen, you know, so Taylor and Snell, both 33 years of age. You know, they're not going to be playing too much longer. Perhaps this might be their last, you know, major tournament for Australia. So then Rebecca Allen in 2-3 years' time, she's going to be the one that plays big minutes at a similar type of position for them.
Well, what you've got with Allen, and you've got the ball goes out of bounds off Nikarovic, and what you've got with Burton and Tolo as well, although I wouldn't say Tolo is necessarily young, but they're very long players. And you see that length as you see the replay from Levy going in and scoring. Just 25 years of age.
Offensive foul, individual foul number 8, Gabriel Richards.
So Burton is 25, and
Tolo is 25.
Rachel Jarry's 22. Tolo 25, Kayla Francis is 25. So I mean, it's, you know, the elder statesman is Penny Taylor, so she's 33. Belinda Snell 33, and they've been around. You know, they were key players in the 2006 FIBA World Championship for winning team back in Brazil. Maćkevich hits a three-pointer from Belarus. Back to 80-40. This could be the biggest beating, though, that Belarus have received in their era of being one of the top teams in Europe. I certainly can't imagine another one. And that pass from Trojna goes over to Mikhailovic, back to Vashkevich. Two minutes remaining here in the battle for first place for Group C, which has effectively been won already by Australia. Levy over to Allen for three, fouled while shooting the three-pointer.
Number 6, Katsiarina Silitina.
There's Silitina who missed the foul. Wojciech is going to come back into the game. Silitina doesn't seem to have really been in the game today, and that's where you have to credit Rachel Jerry taking her out.
Absolutely. Rachel Jerry has done a tremendous job defensively. She's added the offense as well, attacking the ring, getting to the line, but defensively really is where she has made such an impact on the scoreline.
I suppose the disappointment for Belarus is they're going to have to come right back again tomorrow and take on China. I know Tom Marr has been sitting here watching this game. I can see him right now scouting this team, looking at his former team, Australia. Now he's assessing his opponents.
Well, you got to think he'll probably get a little help from the Australian bench as well now. You know, passing on the notes of how they prepared for the game, what they've done, how they look to guard Lichenko, how they look to guard Sitsina. So that's the advantage of Tom Marr and his Australian roots, really.
And what's interesting is, as we watch the game, seated literally 3 seats away from him is Anatoly Buyovsky, who's the former coach of Belarus, who is the coach that brought them to the good times. And I know that he's kind of hoping to get back into that hot seat at some point. So watch this space. You never know. That's not to pass judgment on Grigas. It just so happens that Buyovsky is sitting over there. He likes to follow the team. Now the pass from Australia and Belarus scrapping to the end with one and a half minutes remaining. Rebecca Allen. Rebecca Allen is, we talked about the youngsters in the team, and she is one of them. She's 21. She and Tessa Levy are both 21 years of age. So they are the spring chickens in this group of opals. And we haven't, you know, we've talked about Richards before, but here's Richards, who comes in number 8 for Cambridge after her injury and makes her debut for the Opals. Boy, she has really kind of, you know, I'm sure they feel bad for Cambridge, but Richards is getting the opportunity of her lifetime, isn't she? Zyuskova puts up a 3. She makes it. It's her first 3 points. But bear in mind that Belarus have lost Tarasova to the knee injury, to the serious knee injury for the tournament. That hasn't helped.
Yeah, well, you look at the production from the guard. Obviously, Tarasova, like you said, is injured. So Drods, 0 points, 1 assist. Zizikova, 3 points now on that shot, 1 assist. Viktorovich, would you call her a guard? 3 points, 2 assists. You know, the production just hasn't been there from that position.
Tessa Levy drives and is fouled. So free throws will come for Tessa Levy.
Mitchell.
Oh, sorry, Leanne Mitchell.
And, you know, going the other way, you look at the production of the Australian guards. Leanne Mitchell, we haven't really seen or talked about. That moves her to 2 points, 6 assists. Tessa Levy has 4 points, 2 assists. And we've already talked about the fantastic performance of Erin Phillips. 7 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. So all 3 of those have outplayed all 3 of the players on the Belarus team.
Zyuskova brings it up against Tessa Levy. That is Levy. And Popova from Belarus They're going to have the ball for the last time. I'm guessing that after this, Australia won't rush down the floor to get a shot off. Zyskova gets in the lane, puts up a tough runner. It's good. Gets it back to 87-45. And they are going to attempt it there at the end. So that's how it finishes, 87-45. Just a blowout in every sense of the word for Australia. So they advance directly to the quarterfinals. They won't play again until Friday. Belarus now will play in the qualifications for the quarterfinals against China. All smiles from the Australia camp. They have just really laid the wood to Belarus. I mean, they have put a hurting on one of the top teams in Europe. Usually you talk about the European teams being so dominant. Not today. It was the Opals who overpowered Belarus. Well, they are the #2 team in the FIBA ranking women, but 21 of 44 inside the arc, 4 of 18. I mean, you know, forget about the offense for Australia. Talk about their defense, their rebounding, the 14 steals for the Opals, 26 turnovers for Belarus. And, you know, this was a game that was in hand at halftime when Australia led 46-21. It was a blowout. Jerry really came out and set the tone with Aaron Phillips today. And now the reward will be a couple of days off. Phillips with the 6 steals was terrific from the defensive standpoint, really all-around standpoint. And Jerry led the way with the scoring with the 19 points. Sashenka ended up with a double-double, Torrena with 11. Taylor even didn't have to be as influential today. And there's the leading rebounder. So, any last thoughts, Lloyd?
Well, just credit to Australia, really, for a huge performance once again. Deservedly the group winners, and FIBA ranking of second is looking pretty good to me. You know, I'd say that's pretty spot on with the way they've played so far.
And Cuba and Korea will play today to get into the qualifications for the quarterfinals. You can see right there, so Belarus will have to settle for second place. Thanks for watching, everybody.
And the right side to the ball and plays. And the sister. Yaklaşmış Belarus 32. First personal final between Japan and team scores.